Hey, there you are. I was just messaging you.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we had a little trouble at our last recording we did.
Uh,
So, um, well, let me hit the record button and get this thing rolling if that's okay with you. Hey everyone, this is Dave again with Music United. I'm here today with Jacob Walters, and I guess your dad calls you Jake. Do you want us to call you Jacob or Jake?
I kind of like Jacob, so Jacob is
Okay,
good. Yeah.
I like I like Jacob because that's how I met you. Um,
Yeah.
Jacob's band played our show. Gosh, it's been a while now. A year ago, September,
Yeah, a long time
and
ago.
they came up from Tucson. His band is now called Idle Lights, and I'm gonna let you tell me about you and your music, and just tell us about Jacob.
Oh gosh. That's always so hard. Yeah. I guess I've been playing music since oh god, long time. Was kind of brought into this world listening to all kinds of music. I know my mom and I used to dance a lot to Michael Jackson and Prince, and then my dad and we would jam out to Queen and AC/DC. So I feel like I've actually been really lucky because I've kind of got a really broad range of genres that I kind of grew up with. And I try to incorporate as much of that as I can in the music that I write. So I think it's important to listen to those that came before you, and to take well, not take, but to be inspired by them and to pay homage in a way, I think, but also to come up with your own things.
Yeah,
I
learn
teach
from the
music.
masters.
Yeah, learn from the masters. Yeah. Yeah, I teach. I have my degree in music, so I'm a pretty music person. It's like the only thing I know how to do. So,
Yeah, you graduated last year, right? In 2020.
2019 actually. Yeah.
2019. So right
Yeah.
before you did our show then.
Yeah, yeah, right before.
That's awesome. And I know we met about that time. That was the first time in person, the only time. Um, you in particular, but everyone in the band, great performers, great
Thank you.
musicians.
I'll
So
tell
you did,
them.
okay, well, you might not want to tell all. No, they were all great. And we can't wait to have you back if we ever get to where we're comfortable doing live shows again.
I know.
Um, you're sitting at your keyboard, at your piano.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you might have a song for us.
Yeah, if you would like one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Okay. Well, this is actually off of my band Idolites' first album. It's called The King of Pretending. And since we're going to be talking about mental health and things, I thought this would be a good one to play. So here goes nothing.
Awesome.
After all of these years, I'll be the king of pretending. Though not a sound from my throat, I sing the right notes to the crown atop my head. I've learned how to breathe. I've learned how to suffocate. I've learned to be free, and disassociate. pain. Want to relax, but I feel so tense. I've learned all the facts, and yet nothing makes sense. If there were an apparatus to intercept the death of my blossom, would I decide to use it before I could harvest my sweet flower? After all of these years, I'll be the king of pretending. Thanks.
Yes, that was awesome.
Thank you.
It sounds a little different that way than on the record because
I
I've checked
know,
it out,
yeah.
or the CD or whatever it live stream,
Yeah,
however you want.
there's a lot more
To-
going on the album, yeah.
Yeah, and I know Zoom calls isn't the best format for everyone to hear music, but it's kind of what I got at the moment.
Yeah,
Um,
thank
so
God for Zoom, because otherwise we wouldn't have anything.
yeah, kids wouldn't be able to do school, right?
Yeah.
So you also do musical theater.
Yes, I do.
How'd you get into that?
Uh, that's a really good question. I when I was 8 years old, I started piano and voice lessons. And my piano teacher one year I had done this like dance camp, but I'm not a dancer, just so everybody knows. But I had done this dance camp that she was teaching, and one of the songs that she played for us to dance to was from a musical called Cats, which, oh my god, all the musical
Yep.
theater people are gonna come for me right now because Cats is, you either love it or you hate it, and I loved it, and I
It's
think.
great.
Yes, and so we did the dance to Cats, and then I looked Cats up, and I listened to the soundtrack over and over, and I learned all the dances. I got the little DVD thing of like the live performance. I was like obsessed with Cats,
I
and
have
then there,
that.
yeah, there was a an opportunity here in Tucson. There was a company called Gaslight Youth Theater,
Yep.
and I was like, I want to be in Cats, so I'm gonna do that. And I did, and then I just freaking loved it. I stayed with it for as long as I could, and I still do it as often as I can. But I mean, right now, it's hard to do anything. But just last year, I was in a show called The Hot Mikado, and that was super. So yes, musical theater is like my jam.
Nice. I think so did you ever get to perform in Cats in theater?
Not yet, but
Oh,
because I'm putting it into the universe. If anyone is casting, I may not be a dancer, and I know that show is dance heavy, but I will learn the dances in Cats. So cast me.
what character do you want to play?
Any of them. Of
Oh,
them.
you want to sing Memory? Sure, why not?
Oh God, yeah, I'll even do it in the octave. Way up
You
there.
can too, because you've got a good range, I've noticed.
Well, thank you. I try.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to transition a bit because I know I've seen your Facebook posts and stuff, and I know the pandemic's been very hard on you, as well as the last year. Just 2020 sucked. We all agree with that. except NAM 2020 was awesome, and then the whole world changed. But I know you personally had a lot of struggles with what was going on politically, with the BLM movement, and with just being shut down away from people and doing your craft live where people can hear you and you can get that feedback. How have you um, dealt with that, and what are you doing to keep yourself sane?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. I think everybody in my band, I mean, I speak for myself, but I think they probably feel it a lot too. I think that we all were hit really hard. We put out the album actually on March 13th, which was like the day that the pandemic started. And it was really hard, because we had lots of plans, we wanted to play lots of shows, we had all this stuff lined up, and then, it all fell through the cracks. And so for me at least, I have been really strict with myself about I do go on social media, but I've tried really, really hard to kind of pace myself with it, set a time, set aside times where I go on and not go on outside of those times because I do feel, and you can probably also kind of vouch for me here, that it can be a very toxic environment on social media because everybody wants to be right, um, and there's no shame in saying exactly how you're feeling about something, and so I think a lot of people's true colors come out, which kind of ties into the political environment that we have been in, and the BLM and everything else that has been happening, but especially BLM. And so I've been trying to stay away from that. I do take medication for my mental health, and I know that's not for everybody, but
I do as well.
yeah, it does help me a lot. And I see a therapist, which I see a therapist if you can. I have such a strong support network, which I'm so thankful, and I feel so lucky to have such a strong support network. I know not everybody is privileged enough to have that, but it's so important, I think, especially right now because it is such an isolating time. I think literally and mentally. So it's important to have your circle. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it really did. And you mentioned therapists, and I talked about this on a different Zoom call. Um, in order to see the therapist, or for someone to see a therapist, do you think that shows strength or weakness? Because the
Oh
stigma is
God.
weakness.
Yeah, I think it is incredibly strong. I mean, to kind of pour yourself out to somebody, who you don't even really know that well. I mean, that is scary. And I don't think there's any shame in seeing a therapist or in taking medication. I mean, we're living in a modern age where we are just bombarded with so many images and so much negativity, and positivity too. But I think it's a very fine line, going back to kind of what I said about social media. You go on Instagram and you see this gorgeous person, post a selfie, and you're like, oh, I don't look like that. But that doesn't mean that you're not gorgeous, but your same picture didn't get as many likes. And so it's really challenging to be alive in the world right now, and there's no shame at all, I think, in just having a little bit of help, and I hope anybody who's watching, if they feel like, that if they feel like it's weak to see a therapist, I just hope that they know at some point that it's not. In fact, it's actually quite strong.
Yeah, and I know you've had a supported family, and through Facebook in the last year and a half, even before your show, I got to know a little bit about you, and so I guess you were bullied quite a bit in your youth. You're still in your youth in my world, but but ha- can you talk to me a little bit about that? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Please.
More comfortable now than I used to be. Yeah. Thanks therapy. Yeah, I was bullied a lot as a kid. Like I said, I listened to a lot of different kinds of music, like Michael Jackson and Queen, and so I was exposed very early on to this kind of flamboyant, theatrical, androgynous style of expressing yourself, and so that's
Bowie.
always kind of. Yes, and David Bowie, right? So I've always kind of done that. I also don't part now that I'm old. We're talking about when I was a kid, but I don't believe in a gender binary. I think everybody's so much more than that. But even when I was a kid, I wouldn't necessarily subscribe to that, even though I didn't know what any of that meant. I just, I saw Prince do something and I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. And so, I would get bullied. I'd get, called the F slur all the time, which I'm like 7 year olds. I can't believe they even know that word. But
Yeah, they don't know what it
um,
means. They just call it that.
I know it. And so, they would chase me around and call me that. And, they would, come into the bathroom while I was in there and corner me and make fun of me, all the stories that everybody has,
Yeah.
and it was really hard, and it actually took me a long time to become comfortable with my sexuality. I mean, I'm openly gay and I think that's fine. And but I think because of so many years of being bullied, it was challenging to be like, yeah, you're right, you know. So
Yeah. Well, appreciate you sharing that. Now, I'm going to tie that into what you said with social media a little while ago, because people are hiding behind a screen and the true person really comes out. And so, what I learned with, my kids weren't, they're not on social media a lot. My older daughter is like crazy now, but she's 23 this year. Um, but people bullying just doesn't stop in the classroom. It doesn't stop in the restroom, doesn't stop on the playground. They hit you when you get home. Out of the blue, you'll be doing something and you'll share a picture, and all of a sudden someone will just want to knock you down. Did you experience some of that?
um I don't think I've experienced quite as much as maybe the youth of this current day did.
Correct.
I think because I was just before social media was like huge. Like it definitely was a thing when I was a kid, but or like a youth, not really a kid, but it wasn't quite as of a culture,
Right.
as it is now. It was just kind of like a quirky thing we all did. Um, so I personally don't have a lot of experience in that. I feel lucky to not be super concerned about, my appearance to the world because I care so much just about my art and everything. But I realize that, your person is who you are. That's how you're projecting yourself into the world. And so it can be so harmful to for people to attack it because I mean, what else do you have, And so I completely empathize with that, and it's wrong. You should not call people out on things you think that are wrong with their body. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just being cruel,
Yeah,
and haters gonna hate, and
haters gonna hate.
and they're always gonna pop up out of nowhere, and you just remove those people from your life the best you can.
Yeah, yeah.
So you when you performed, you mentioned you like performers that were flamboyant like Prince and Freddie Mercury that can put on. You are, even though you're kind of hidden behind two pianos and sometimes have a guitar around your neck, you rock out and you just be you, and I thought that was incredible when you played for us at FoCal. That was just amazing.
Thank you. I a lot of times I do, well, not so much anymore, but when I first started performing, I was, a teenager. I was like 15. And that was about around the time, I was coming to terms with myself and everything. And so for me, it really did feel like that was the only place that I could kind of
Right.
come out and be myself, and nowadays I feel comfortable and I'm like, this is who I am. If you like it, great. If you don't, fine.
Therapy, therapy,
Yes, therapy. And
good
so
meds.
I'm so glad you say that because it has been such the music itself and performing has been such a form of therapy for me. And I think that not just music, but there are so many different things for people that they can use as therapy. Maybe you're, a sculptor or a poet or a chef or something. Maybe you love to cook. And I think it's important for people to find things that really make them feel un unhinged, the no chains. You can just completely give yourself over to it, and forget about everything else. I think it's really important for people to have that. And I mean, for us, it's music, right? But
Oh, for
I
sure.
encourage people who are listening to find what it is for you. Maybe it's music, and maybe it's something else.
Yeah, that's awesome because that's what I like to say on stage sometimes. Do you, during this pandemic and the time of isolation and all that wonderful stuff, when you can't be out doing what you love, um, you're really left with writing and practicing. But did you find another hobby or something else that helped occupy your mind? And
Yeah. Well, I tried to grow a vegetable garden and I was successful for a second, but then we had an ant and a squirrel infestation, and you can probably guess where that went. So that was depressing. But I've also really gotten into learning languages. I'm like a total nerd about it right now. Like, ask me about the etymology of some English word, and I'll just be like, ooh, you know. So I've really gotten into that, which, like, whatever. There's nothing else to do.
that's kind of like my oldest daughter. She has a vocabulary and she has since she was little. It's just, whoa. Hey, I'm like, Sierra, you need to explain that to me. Right. But now I know you've prepared at least two songs for us, and I'm looking at the time. We got a few minutes. Would you like to play another?
Sure. Yeah, I can. I'm about the lyrics because, oh my gosh. So if you know me, you know that, oh, my band always gets so mad at me because we'll be performing and I'll forget the lyrics because I'm awful. But here it is. This song is called Ariel, and it is also from our album. And it's also kind of about mental health, I think. It's kind of a story about this person, and I know personally, who, has a child, and father is kind of dealing with their own mental thing, right? And how uncomfortable of a situation that can become because now there's a third party, and how the relationship is affected by both parties' mental health. But now there's another person, and it's about trying to figure it out. So here is Ariel. I'm trying again to keep your voice down, 'cause Ariel is sleeping, I'm making out. So can I pour you another glass? If you need anything, you know to ask. I'm trying again to not fight. My eyes are too tired to cry. So can we talk this through? It just seems like something adults would do. Do you know who you are? As we lie underneath the stars. Do you know who you are? Underneath your scars. Try again to stay strong, 'cause everyone doesn't know what's wrong. to keep your voice down. 'Cause Ariel is sleeping, not making a sound. Oh, I missed the guitar solo. My guitarist is such a good guitar solo, and that's not the same. Oh, I think you're on mute, David.
Yeah, everyone needs to kind of imagine that song with your full band on stage because
Yeah.
it really comes alive. Even and as much as I love the recordings, I've just always loved live music. I like to hear how someone will twist it a little bit, or maybe not, or they'll forget the words and laugh at themselves. It's just I love that stuff. So, well,
Yeah,
how can
there's nothing
everyone
like
find
it.
you? How can everyone find you?
Well, my band is on Instagram. I think it's just Idle Lights Band. Let me see. Haven't been on anything. Idle Lights Band, yes. And then we're on Facebook. I'm. I think we have a Twitter. I think my drummer did that. So, um, and
And they're
then
on
I have
Spotify.
my. Yes, we're on Spotify, iTunes, all the different things. And then I'm on Instagram too, Khaki Jake, like Khaki's State Farm. You know what I mean. So that's my personal Instagram. But go listen to us on Spotify or YouTube or iTunes. I like.
Uh, my video is being a little splotchy on my end. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Also, you have released a fair amount of music as a solo artist.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's kind of just like my little passion project that I do off to the side. This most recent, it's kind of like electronic. I call it pensive pop music 'cause I'm so extra. Um, but it's kind of like electronic, it's dancey. I just put one out. It's called The Golden Hour. It's two separate EPs, kind of like a yin and yang. So you can check that out if you want.
Yeah, I know we have some of your music on our Spotify Music United playlist. We have one with just the artists that have performed with us, at least that have recordings, and we have one that's all the artists that have supported us in any way with their gifts, with their products, with their whatever, that we can give out to people when they order our products or hand them out on the stage or that sort of thing. And so we've added, you're on both of those playlists with your band Idle Lights and as a solo artist. And didn't you recently do something like a duo or duet thing with a song with someone? Was that you? I guess not.
Well, I did something with a producer from Phoenix called Da Boy Ruff. He made a version of Jingle Bell Rock. We did that for Christmas. Oh, and me and Jace got together, and Jace is my drummer, and we got together and made a little Christmas song because we were super bored. So
That was probably what I saw.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably what you're talking about. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about that. That was so much fun
Well,
to make.
stick those two things up on Spotify. We'll add you to our Christmas list,
Oh, okay.
which is pretty small at this point. So, what else would you like the world to know about you or mental health or the band?
Well, I guess I would just like everybody to know that you are not alone right now. I know it feels like
I think it died.